disgust, anger, frustration, upset feelings, terribleness. Let's talk about who's to blame the most for the Mavs losing 5 of their last 6 games, because it's not going well. Today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video, comment below. Don't take it out on the show. Like the video. Let me know in the comment section who or what deserves the most blame for the Mavs losing 5 of the last 6 games. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can't see me, because I'm not here, because I don't believe anymore. I don't believe I shouldn't be here, so I am off screen.
That's not where I thought you were going with that.
I just can't anymore with this team. I cannot believe that we're in this position where they won 7 in a row. They had made the trades. We were feeling good about where the team was, and now I can't believe that. You know what I can't believe the most? By the way, Slightly Biased joining me on the show. You know what I can't believe the most? I had 4 or 5 people come up to me after the show, or after the game, Raccoon Squad members, people that listen to this show, that listen all the time, some of you, that said, man, I feel so bad for you. Good luck on the show tonight. Like I was about to go do something. Like something had just happened to me, as if I was the one that was like, oh, man, this is just so brutal for you to have. Like, this Mavericks team has transcended basketball and is now infecting our lives as a thing that is tearing us down. We don't have a Betterhelp ad today, but it's betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA if you need it, because, man, I certainly do after a loss like that. Just how badly they lost to the Pacers. We'll talk about why they lost to the Pacers, but slightly, it's more about like that they lost to the Pacers and now it's 5 of 6. I mean, you can see the red anger in my face.
I mean, if you're a fan, right, your go-to feeling has to be, well, why do I care? They don't look like they do. Like that is just the harsh truth. And that's a harsh thing to say. And since, I've come on here and, I've grown a little bit, I've tried to steer clear of that, because I know that that's a lofty thing to say, that they don't care, they're not trying. But I got to ask, like, top to bottom, where is the fire coming from in this team?
Yeah.
Where is it? Who's making people answer for this stuff? Who is it? Because I'm left wondering. I know the coaches aren't doing it. That's the whole entire reason you went and got Kidd and this coaching staff, was you wanted a more player-friendly coach. The Rick Carlisle was butting heads too much with the young guys, whatever. That's how the NBA is trending. So I don't think it's coming from the coaching staff. They're just going to go post-game and be like, yeah, they're soft. And then the players are going to be like, yeah, well, I guess that's his opinion if they called us soft. Like that's literally almost a verbatim press conference we had from earlier in the season. So it's not coming from the coaching staff. Where is it coming from? Are there players? The Kings had a player-only meeting a couple nights ago. Will this team ever have a player-only meeting? I don't get that vibe from them at all.
They have a player-only meeting after every game. It's just Dwight Powell sitting in the corner, just going over the minutes that he took from the previous meeting.
They have their leadership council. Is that still a thing?
This is a culture
Someone go
loss.
Anakin on the council.
This is Jesus. Leave the kids alone, though. Leave the younglings. This is a culture loss. This is where you look at a team and say they have taken the identity and they've taken the personality of their head coach and they've applied it to how they play right now. And this is how all of a sudden the defense is just not giving enough effort. There's no fight back. What is it? Where is this team now when their backs are against the wall? They needed a win like this. They're a half game ahead of the Lakers for 9th right now. That whole cushion is gone. Completely gone. And the Lakers and Warriors are playing really good basketball, and this team's going to go in 9th or 10th, and they should be happy and like thanking their lucky stars that the Jazz sold at the deadline, because they're 5.5 games ahead of them, which is like, it was 7 like 2 nights ago. Yeah. So that's not even out of the question anymore. If this team doesn't make the play-in even completely somehow, I mean, you have to make full sale. Like its coaching staff has to be completely gone. I mean, that was, I did a mailbag yesterday. Someone asked, how would Kid have, like, what would have to happen for Kid to be fired? I said they'd have to miss the entire play-in again. Because I think even if they are 9-10 in the play-in and they lose the first game, there's enough, well, there's injuries and we had this and this problem. And I don't buy any of that.
I disagree.
But I think they would call, if they lose the first game in the play-in, I think they would take all those excuses, hand them up and be like, this is what it was. And so we're just going to keep Kid because we believe in him and all that. Problem is, I don't know the team does anymore.
I think Kid's gone unless there's a deep playoff run because people will demand, heads will roll, and there will be like too much of a public outcry.
Well,
and if I'm Cuban,
people will demand who? The only people that could demand something to happen is Luka and Kyrie.
I mean, let's be real though. Cuban is a chronically online human being. Like he knows.
So is Kid.
Well, I hope not. Just for his well-being,
Kid
I hope
last
he's
year referenced one of my tweets in a press conference.
Well,
that is a chronically online person. You have to be really online.
I know
to find
Luka's
one of
online.
my tweets.
I know Luka's online.
He's blocked slightly biased, and slightly biased is a shirt that says "unblocked slightly" on it. Really
but no, listen, Cuban. If you for some reason listening to this, you have. I mean, at some point, somebody within the organization has to go to the team, to the coaching staff, and say, "Listen, guys, just be as blunt as possible. If you guys don't right this ship, if you guys don't go on a deep playoff run, we have to cut ties. We just have to." Last year was really pushing the boundaries, okay? And we stuck with you. We kept it. We kept you around. All right, we traded for Kyrie halfway through the season. If this season does not end, if this season ends in disaster or disappointment, heads have to roll, and they have to understand that. Pull your head out of your ass. I mean, enough of this just moping around. Enough. The super long leash for Tim Hardaway Jr. What are we still doing at this point with that?
No, they played him like 13 minutes tonight. So
I'm like, how does Hardy have 0 minutes? Like, there's still rotational stuff that I don't understand.
The rotation. I'm not even taking the rotation thing as a problem anymore. Because I think Kid played the guys that were supposed to play and the ones that weren't supposed to, right? He played Gafford extended minutes because Gafford was the only one giving them the spark that you mentioned earlier. He didn't play. He played Tim Hardaway Jr. under 13 minutes, so I think that's fine. Like he hit he hit 2 threes. That's all you expect from him. He played Maxey 15 minutes. Like I think that he played the right guys the right amount of minutes. I'm not even calling this a rotation loss. This is a culture loss because where you lost was the defense was completely lost the whole game. The speed of the Pacers just completely overwhelmed them, and they couldn't follow. And their defense already plays from behind anyway. They have to play. How many times have you and I sat on here after losses and gone, man, they were just playing catch up all night on defense. And they were doing it again today, but the speed of the Pacers was just too much for them. 9 out of 10 Pacers scored in double digits. Like that is covered the ears of the little children in the car that are listening to this. That is a booty whooping, like a team butt whooping from the Pacers. And Rick Carlisle just completely out coaching Jason Kidd. And they had enough talent to win this game. If it keeps happening like this, remember the episode I had months ago? I said it was about 30 or so games into the season, and I go, man, there's been about 5 losses that have just been completely on coaching because you had the talent, you had the rest, you had the players and stuff, and then you just couldn't get it, and you just couldn't get the win. I think this is one of those. And the Pacers are a very good team, like great for the Pacers, but it's the way they looked and how thoroughly they got beaten in a game like this where you go, all right, another coaching loss.
Well, this is just like where the buddy stuff has to end. I mean, at a certain point, you have to be the coach. And I don't know if the coaching staff is doing this, but it doesn't feel like it because they make the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over. The same guys who make the same mistakes over and over and over go out again and again and again and again and again and to get extended run and get these incredibly long leashes. Where's the accountability at? There's none. There's no accountability. There's no changing. There's no actual incentive. You know, I just hate to say it like this because I don't want to like call out the players and they're all uber competitors and they all tried their hardest to win. I know that. I understand that. Yeah. But I mean, I watched teams out hustle them. I watched them lack the energy and the effort on defense. This is now a prolonged stretch in a very vital part of the season, man. This isn't November or December where we can say, hey, they're still trying to get their legs under them. It's kind of understandable. This is like must win territory, man. Unless they have come to a conclusion as a group that like, hey, we're kind of cool with just like being healthy going into the play-in tournament if that's what it takes. And if that's the reality, get that loser mentality out of here. So I don't believe that that's true. I just, as a fan, it's hard to watch this because I'm stat nerds. I would love to know, has there ever been a stretch where a team was for a 7-game stretch, the best defense in the NBA, and then an immediate 7-game stretch afterwards, the worst. Because that's exactly what has happened.
That has to be like the Warriors probably did that at some point during their run, right? Like, but they probably won a bunch of those games. They probably won a bunch of those games.
I guarantee you it's never happened.
It's probably never happened. That is an insane stat that the Mavs defense has just completely fallen off a cliff. And coming up, we'll tell you why. I'll tell you why this is on coaching, and I'll tell you why Jason Kidd needs to be removed. Coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered with all kinds of parts for your car. Passion, drive, and patience, which brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. With over 122 million parts to choose from, they'll have exactly what you need because they have the eBay Guaranteed Fit for your car. You know your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're going to burn rubber and not cash. With all the parts that you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into an MVP and keep that home and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Oh. Disgusting. Disgusting. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. If you're listening today, you're a real Raccoon Squad member. You're a real part of it. You're a real part of this group, and I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out, watching the show. Guys, go check out the subtext, subscribe. I will do something on there. I just did a mailbag yesterday. You get text straight to your phone. I appreciate everybody that saw a game tonight. All right, Slightly. It's time. They're not going to do it. They're not going to remove Kidd right now, and I don't even know if they should do it in the middle of the season like this. But at the end of the season, it's time to go. Because in a stretch like this, where your backs are against the wall, you need wins like this, it's time to turn it up. They had turned the corner. They had the 7-game win streak, and you go on a run like this where you just look completely overmatched and completely uninterested. You've taken on the mentality and you've taken on the personality that your coach brings. And I think that this team needs a different voice. They need a different look. And, hey, I know Luka and Kyrie like Jason Kidd. And maybe it's more tenuous than we think, and maybe he's holding things together more than we think that he is. And if they replace him, then maybe Kyrie, something happens. Luka, something happens. Who knows if there's more behind the scenes? There always is more behind the scenes than we know. But basketball-wise, just looking at this team, they're not getting any kind of advantage from coaching at all. It's roll out the ball. It's run, pick, and roll. It's go out there and play the same defense that they've been playing. And I'll give Kidd some credit. He tried some zone in this game. The problem is they've been so terrible at zone all season that it didn't do them any good in a game like this. And you don't play zone against a team that can shoot this well either. It's like you're trying to overcome so many different things. And, it's just time, man. It's just time, because another loss like this is just another loss where there wasn't fight. And I think it's on the coaching staff.
I mean, even if it's like Luka and Kyrie love Kidd, hey, at a certain point, man, this is a
they love
professional
winning more.
That's what I was about to say. Winning cures all. So there's if Kidd or Luka and Kyrie would rather have Kidd around and they're still toiling around in the play-in tournament versus trying to go get another coach and really try to win basketball games. Guys, believe it or not, there's a stretch in time where this team, for all of their flaws during, the 2000s and their playoff disappointments from here and there, they won 50 games every single season. Like, it was stamped in. You just knew it. You knew they were making the playoffs. You knew they were going to have home court. You knew they were going to have 50 wins. This is excruciating. And as a fan, it was really sad to watch. And yeah, they're not firing Kidd right now. Like, I've tried to make that point, and people have gotten mad at me. They're just not going to do it. Like, there's 20 games left in the season unless something crazy happened off the floor or something, knock on glass, and nothing crazy happens. But
did you say knock on glass?
Yeah, we've already done this before. knock on glass, save your ass. Knock
on Christian wood that it won't happen.
Okay, yeah. But where was I going? My brain is just scrambled.
They're not gonna remove Kidd.
Oh yeah, and look, they've kind of lost their. We want a player-friendly coach who's just kind of let us go out there and do our thing. You guys have lost that privilege, I think. If this season continues the way that it's going after this last 7 games or so, and you're in the play-in tournament, and God forbid you don't make it out of it, you've lost that privilege. This is a team that hasn't been able to self-start. Like, they just haven't. They talk about it all the time in the post-game pressers. We need to come out with more energy. We need to play the full 48. We need to try harder on defense.
We need to not get we can't get so upset when we don't get calls. Like
exactly. And it's like, okay, well, do it. And I get this, you want to blame kid for it. And at a certain point, the coaching staff, you have to step in and say to do it. But at another point, it's like, just do it, guys. You know what it is. And the things you're talking about are just mental things that you can change. It's not, skill things like developing a 3-point shot. Like, I don't know how to shoot, but I'm trying my hardest to learn how to shoot. Like that's a different problem entirely. When it's effort, showing up to games, starting games strong, not having mental lapses where you zone out for 3 to 4 minutes. And next thing you know, a 20-6 run has happened. And now you're down by 14 points and crawling your way out of that hole the entire game. You're yelling at refs. You're not getting back on defense. And this isn't I think people confuse whenever I say yelling at refs is like me only singling out Luka. No. He is not the only person on this roster who does it. It's a problem that several people have.
It got into Josh Green so much. He got that flagrant foul on Neesmith. And that was just a boneheaded play that was just stupid.
Yeah.
Just running into him. And that was just a ridiculous thing. I'm with you. And I think that to go back to your point about, well, he's a player's coach. Okay, well, how has the player not gotten better at the things that are holding him back in a way? The complaining to refs. There's been some movement on it this year. He's gotten better conditioning wise, but that's because he hired his own team. Like it feels like this team is taking a class online. Right? They're taking a class online. They're doing their discussion boards. They're going and filling it out, and maybe they're reading the notes. But then they're just rolling the ball out in the test, and you're like, what did I learn? I don't really know. I remember some things. I slightly remember some game plan things, but then, we're just going to roll it out and run some pick and roll, some double drag. We're going to do some handoffs here or there. I'm just going to chuck up some shots, and then we're just going to run around on defense and try to, be in the right spot. And I'm just going to get lost again.
Is kids' defensive scheme that complex? Are we talking some Brea dude never heard before defensive scheme that has defensive coverages that are out of a Disney Channel movie? Like they have plays like specific play names do the Zamboni.
Just takes attention and effort. And it's hard when that is the number one thing. But then also, shouldn't they be given the effort? And he's like, kid said last game, well, there's certain guys that we've got to teach to give effort 100% of the time. They can't take plays off. And I get that. Who's teaching them that? At some point, if everyone in the class fails, then it's on the teacher, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And this Mavs team is taking an online course right now.
But at another point, it's an online course. You know exactly what you signed up for. You got to get on there and do the work. You got to get on there and do your discussion board.
Oh, for sure.
So if the problem really is effort and it's consistent effort, it's one blame the coach. Yes, the coaching staff has to get most out of it. Man, at a certain point, the players just have to do it. If we're talking effort, just do it. It's easier said than done. I understand, but
we're talking about two different things. You're talking about this season right now. This season is what it is. They've got to put the effort in. They've got to do what the scheme is. They're not going to remove Kid as much as I would want them right now. They're not going to do that. I'm talking about the future. I'm out on Kid. For people who think that I'm a Kid defender, I am out on him. He is not making it past this season unless there is a miraculous deep postseason run. He is not making it past this season. Which would be so Mavericks for them to do. Hey, 2 of the 3 seasons we went on a deep postseason run.
Hey, I'm here for it. I don't care.
I am too. I would sit here and celebrate, but I think they would also win. In spite of Kid, they just keep getting out coached in all these games. I had a subtexter text me and rank the coaches in the Western Conference, and we got to 12 before I even considered Kid.
It's not good. And everyone, the built for the playoff excuse is, guys, you have to make it. I don't know if everyone's aware. I don't know if they're aware. You got to win the games first. You don't just walk into it.
Coming up, let's talk about what actually happened in this Pacers game. How did the Mavs lose this one? What can they do and change going forward? Let's talk about that coming up.
Do we have to?
Today's episode, we do have Betterhelp today. Today's episode is brought to you by Betterhelp. Betterhelp is there for you because everyone has something that you need to talk about, something you need to talk through. Maybe it's somebody that was in a leadership role in your life is not delivering for you, and so they need to be removed from that leadership position. and you're worried about it, or maybe your teammates in your office or in your workspace are not giving the effort on a certain part of your job that they need to, and so maybe you need to talk about that and talk about your frustration with that. BetterHelp has you covered with all that kind of stuff. You can talk about anything that you want with somebody from BetterHelp. They're there to help you. It's entirely online, designed to be specifically matched for you. You can try different therapists if you're worried about, well, I don't know if I'm going to vibe with somebody. I've used BetterHelp, and I had one therapist, and I don't think I really vibed with that person, and I switched to another one. It was completely free. You can do that, again, entirely online, designed to be flexible, suited to your schedule and all that. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, check it out, betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Oh, all right, Slightly. Let's talk about this game, because I do want to talk about this game, because I think that it shows some of the issues the Mavericks have had, especially against such speed from the Pacers. 137 to 120. Mavs allow 137 points. That's absolutely insane. Their offense also couldn't keep up, which I think is another underlying issue, that the offense is just held together with Luka, Kyrie, and duct tape, basically. But, yeah, I thought the speed was one of the first things, and they kept helping off of Miles Turner in the first half. Like, how many times are you going to help off of Miles Turner? Your zone is like, yeah, okay, you're running a zone, and yes, the Pacers run a ton of different screens and all that kind of stuff, but why are we still helping off of Miles Turner and allowing him to just get these wide-open jump shots? There's not really a good answer to help off of with the Pacers, but, man, it just felt like they were trying to do the same thing they did last time.
Yeah, I mean, that was clearly their strategy last time, was because you looked at the numbers, you dive deep into the numbers. The Mavericks clearly do have an analytics department. You dive deep into the numbers, and he was shooting like 30-something% from three over his last few games. Like, he wasn't shooting well. So their strategy, and looking back on it, this is what happened during their 7-game winning streak. They got fortunate where like these seven teams all had like one player you were kind of comfortable helping off of no matter what, right? And you were able to send help off of that guy and rotate off of that. But, these teams like the Pacers with Miles Turner make that a nightmare because they just can't rotate. They're not good at it. They're not built to do it. They don't have the defenders to do it. And yet they continuously try to do it. And they tried to do it yet again. And hey, to Indiana's credit, man, they were lights out tonight. Like, they were making every single shot pretty much, even the tough ones that they did have that were contested. The Mavericks had some good defensive possessions that they played 23 and a half great seconds of defense. And then it was just, a heck of a shot that you just have to tip your cap.
Three.
Yeah, I can just see that
corner three just going in over and over and over again.
Ben Shepherd.
Oh my gosh.
More like
I had scouts sitting next to me.
Allen.
I was like, I didn't know Ben Shepherd was on the Pacers.
A scout said that?
No, it's just
is that the Dallas Mavericks scout?
It's like, oh, Ben Shepherd.
That's the Dallas Mavericks scout right there. Oh, wait.
So
this Pacers roster I have is from 2018.
Where's Sabonis? Is Sabonis not on this team anymore?
He must be hurt.
The difference between this season and past seasons of the Mavericks defense, or let me just say the first season of the Mavericks defense, it's not that Dorian Finney-Smith was such a good defender and Reggie Bullock was such a good defender. It's, I think, because offense has exploded this season, that this kind of a defense can't keep up with offenses. And you saw it in a game like this. Like, this was the pinnacle, best example you can give of offense is cracked, completely broken and insane this season. The top 10 defense is 114 points per 100 possessions. That's a top 10 defense this season. The Mavs' number one offense, that was the number one offense in league history like 3 or 4 years ago, 116 points per 100 possessions. That was the number one of all time, and now 114 is a top 10 defense. That's insane. That's insane to me. And so offense is cracked, and so you just can't keep up in that same way. And I think it's like, you look at, I saw a graphic that got posted that was the Mavs advanced to the Western Conference Finals. It was Luka, Brunson, Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Dwight Powell. And I was like, how is Luka, Kyrie, PJ Washington, Josh Green, and like Maxey or Lively or Gafford so different than Luka, Brunson, Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, and like Maxey? How is that so completely different? And I think it's just because of where the NBA is going right now.
Well, part of the reason there's a huge scoring explosion, I've seen some people say it, but it's never the main reason people say, is pretty much every single role player in the NBA now is not an offensive zero. Those guys like really don't exist in any real capacity anymore, especially on a team like the Pacers.
Just
like
Patrick Beverley.
Well, even then, like, he'll hit some threes from time to time. Like, There's no Andre Robersons in the NBA anymore.
Oh.
There are no like complete zeros offensively, and then you have Josh Giddey, who's a debatable player. But outside of that, though,
that's a negative.
Yeah, outside of that, though, you have to account for pretty much everybody on the floor, especially a team like the Pacers. And yeah, when you play this style of defense where we're going to help off and we're going to rotate, I mean, there was a play where Maxey is in a strong corner, one pass away, the ball's on the wing, and Maxey, like Miles Turner's posting up Luka. Maxey's coming off to help, one pass away in the corner, and it leads to a wide open, I think it was a Nembhard three. I don't remember who exactly shot the three, but it's just like, how is that like schematically? How is that the shot that we're comfortable giving up there instead of just like, hey, maybe Turner catches the ball in the post and we can double on the catch? Like, why are we helping off before a pass is even thrown and giving up a wide open three in the strong side corner? It's shocking.
It's frustrating.
That's schematic. That's a schematic thing because Maxey's a smart defender and a good defender. I don't think he just does that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to sit down with one of the Mavs coaches and go through the defense and be like, is this what was supposed to happen or is this a mess up? Because I can't tell the difference anymore on some of these,
Even like when Kyrie looks lost. I know Kyrie doesn't have a reputation for a good defender, but he's a smart player who's been in the league for a very long time. Like how is he like so lost sometimes? How is Luka lost sometimes? How are some of these guys so clueless on where to be? Like is the scheme that complicated? And if it is, then what are we doing? We don't have the personnel for that. We do not have the personnel for it.
It's time for a new voice. That's what I'll let's do one positive. I'll give one positive. Oh, actually, let me do one more bad thing, and then I'll do I think this was one of the first games I've seen where I think Luka's chucking affected the rest of the team. Because Luka took 30 shots, and he took like 25 or something pretty early. Like, I thought I saw several plays where Luka looked off a wide open Maxey or Josh or PJ or somebody, and I thought it affected the team on offense. And then your offense falls apart in the third quarter, and I think that it has something to do with it. You look at the difference between a Luka and a Jokic, and Jokic puts everyone else first, and then he eats eventually. And Luka, I've been one of the biggest defenders of your number one play and your most effective play is a Luka isolation. But I think sometimes it does hurt you, and I think this is one of those games when it did.
Well, I think this team is very vulnerable to snowball effects. And I think one of those snowball effects is Luka saying, hey, I'm the superstar. I'm the megastar. I have to pull us out of the mud. And it's not necessarily fair to him. I thought Kyrie was pretty much nowhere to be found tonight again and just wasn't
23
making
points on
shots.
19 shots.
And yeah, some of those were like late threes in the start of the fourth quarter when the game already felt completely and totally out of reach. And it kind of goes like, when the things are going bad for the Mavericks, they need Kyrie to have like to have good first quarter, second quarter performances, so we can go into halftime either with the lead or not down by 8 and constantly digging yourself a hole. In a game like tonight, when your defense was rough, a 4-point lead felt insurmountable. Like no joke, a 2-possession lead actually felt insurmountable. Like you were not going to generate the stops to come back from it. So I get where you're coming from with Luka because he did chunk a lot tonight, but I'll throw him some bail in the sense that like. In a game like tonight where your defense is obviously going to be terrible and it's going to be one of these 140 to 143 point games, that's how we're supposed to win. I could see where Luka's like, I have to pull us out the mud tonight.
Oh, I get it. And he does, I just thought that the decision he made to do that affected the rest of the team. And so then in the third quarter when you needed them, they vanished. Just like the Avatar.
Well, that's where the snowball effect comes.
Right.
Like all of these things happen.
Here's the one positive. I thought P.J. Washington played really well. I thought of everyone, he played really well. 20 points. He hit 4 of his 8 threes. He was hitting his above-the-break threes, like you've mentioned, his wing threes, not the corner ones like you mentioned before. 7 boards for him, 3 assists. And Pascal Siakam was kind of like a non-factor for most of this game, and I thought it was because of P.J. I thought he had a really good game. That's like my one bright spot.
Gafford played good off the bench, too. I liked his I will say I loved his energy. It's like – there was someone in the chat who was like, man, he's pumping his chest down 15. I'm like, hell yeah, somebody has to do it. Like this team lacks that. It really desperately lacks that energy and somebody to get them hype and going during times like these where it doesn't feel like like fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are times where it could feel fake.
This Mavs crowd was loving it. Like they were really into him getting those offensive like getting those boards and like fighting for a rebound. And even if he didn't get the board, but he fought for it a couple of times, they were like cheering for it. I was like, man, this crowd just doesn't remember what rebounding is. Like they just are not used to it.
We want rebounding and we want defense. If you're going to come and do those things, we will like you. Like we will like you and we will root for you and we will root
Brian
for you.
Cardinal, still a legend.
That's why Frank Ntilikina had some supporters for longer than he probably should have.
Oh, people forget. People
do forget. Honestly, Frank, plug him into this lineup. I mean, we need some point of attack defense.
People left this game with 5 minutes to go.
I would have left this game in the second quarter.
A lot of people
getting escorted out. You'd have had to drag me out of that stadium for the stuff I was saying.
We didn't really. There was one guy at the end of the game sitting like in a section over there that was just screaming "Fire, kid!" and no one was joining him.
I think I might know who that is.
Is he that guy that got ejected from last year?
I don't know, but there's a guy on Twitter who's making a hard push, and then he got mad at me because I was like, "Hey, they're not going to do it this year." But I'm not. They're not going to.
They're not. I'll tell them.
Yeah, they're not doing it in the next month or two.
He can slightly block me. They're not going to.
Unblock slightly.
There you go. Oh my God. Tomorrow,
Hopefully.
me and Dana Larson be back. We'll talk about this team and the problems. Last time we talked about Dana, we were so optimistic. We were like, this is why the Mavs are going to move up in the standings. And now what shall we do? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Peace out.